This is my video summarizing and telling the story of my 200-mile ride on a fixed gear bike. For anyone new to fixed gear, to put it briefly, it's a bicycle with one gear, no handbrakes, and no coaster brake. The pedals are directly connected to the back wheel, so you can't coast. The way you slow down is pressing your feet against the pedals as they rotate. If the wheels are spinning, the pedals are also spinning. I was always interested in riding longer distance on fixed gear ever since I got into it in 2021. Even before I started riding fixed, I would hear about people doing like 300 miles or doing other incredible things on bikes, like 24-hour races. But once I saw people from Philly like Greg Lang, who regularly do unbelievable rides with insane elevation on fixed gear bikes, and guys from New York City riding down to DC in one go, I became super inspired to do stuff like this myself. So let me give you some context here. The first 100-mile ride I did was on a fixed gear, and it was with my friend Chris. We rode from Philly all the way to my hometown near Nakamixon and back in one day. I felt great, lots of saddle pain though. Another ride I did, fixed gear, was with my two friends Noah and Gabe. We rode from Philly to DC in one go. It was a lot of fun, super challenging, especially mentally, a lot of very busy roads and whatnot. But this is my longest fixed gear ride up until my 200. Another crazy century I did, staying only in the Navy Yard with a couple of my friends, was completely on a whim at 6 p.m. We finished it at like 4 a.m. and we only did laps around the Navy Yard and went to the Wawa right around the corner. This was insane. And the first 200 I ever did was on a borrowed road bike with Noah. We rode from Philly up to East Stroudsburg and back. This crushed me, and there was a lot of hills, but I did it, so I feel like I could do it fixed. Here's a proof of concept of me riding this Brooklyn Machine Works bike with these bars. I did a long ride with Noah and Carver that was like 120 miles, so I feel like I could do 200. So the main challenge you face when you ride a fixed gear long distance is going up and down hills. Going up is very difficult because you're often in the wrong gear, and going down is difficult because you have to spin your legs as you go down the hill. So this is a route that me and my friends are doing as a bike packing trip in a couple weeks, but out of nowhere I decided to do it all in one shot. 200 miles, 100 miles of gravel, and the route was made by Noah. This is mostly on canal paths and the SRT, so it's not a lot of hills and it's definitely not a lot of traffic. All right. This is the night before, the evening before. It's 5:50. I'm doing this 200-mile ride, gravel fixed gear. It's 100 miles of gravel. We're going up from Philadelphia, up through Trenton, all the way up to Delaware, past Frenchtown, New Hope, and such, to Easton, over to Allentown, and we're going to go through Reading on the way back. It's going to be a big loop, starting from Philly, ending in Philly, 200 miles. And what's nice about this ride is that when I'm near Easton, when I'm near, along the Delaware for the most part, the Delaware kind of goes in an arc, kind of grazing past the area that I grew up. Basically what I'm saying is during this whole ride, I'm going to feel like I'm not too far from home. If anything goes wrong, I'll feel confident that I can be rescued if I really need to. Obviously, I don't want to put anyone in that situation having to drive out to me. But it's that peace of mind, the mental game is most of the game. And the rest is just eating some snacks at a gas station. So let's make it happen. It is 5:52. I just got home from work, and my plan is to do this ride tomorrow morning. I want to start super early because, it's 5 o'clock. I want to make the most of daylight. I'd rather be riding out of the night and into the morning than riding into the dark in the evening. It's a mental thing for me. Doesn't feel good to be riding into the dark, knowing that only darkness is ahead of you, and Not only that, but your lights, you're banking on your lights lasting you as long as they need to last you. Normal bibs, Endura bibs, and a high-vis Endura jersey. I'm not really normally a big high-vis dude, but I'm trying to just eliminate as much friction as I can, and I want to be visible, you know? It's a little bit of added security, just knowing that cars most definitely see me, you know? And I'm riding this bike. Was bouncing ideas off of my coworkers at the bike shop today. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna rock the mountain bar. I think I'll be okay. I don't think it's a good idea. I think what I'm gonna do is rock my track carbon bars. I'm gonna rock them, but with a stem not so long. So, because these bars are deep. Look, the bars are about as deep as the stem. And these bars give you a ton of hand positions on a fixed gear. More than I've ever had, I think. You know, you could be in the hoods, the tops, the drops, you know, hold wherever you want. Yeah, just gonna do a little preparations, and then I'm just gonna like go to bed early. Just get as much sleep as I can. Maybe I'll have like a spaghetti dinner or something. Load up on carbs and electrolytes and stuff like that. And yeah, I want to start super early. Like maybe be rolling by 4 a.m. or wake up at 4 a.m. I'm not sure. But shit's happening. We got shorter stem, Garmin mount, tilted up a little bit more than I normally would just so that it's a very comfortable position. Loading stuff up. I got the flat fix bag back here. It's got 2 tubes, tire levers, and stuff like that. Hopefully I won't have to dig into that. So yeah, getting ready. Pretty hyped. It's gonna be hard to sleep tonight. Alright. Good morning. It is 3:50 a.m. Yeah, we're starting a little early. Got everything ready. I got a little windbreaker that I can pack away if I need to. The bike is ready. Got everything I need. I got a light, rear light, bunch of snacks, water. I got the route on my phone. I took a look at the route last night, sort of roughly planned out where I'm going to stop. My plan is slow but steady. I don't want to stop a lot. It's like 52 degrees right now. Hopefully there won't be too many crazy drivers out there on a Sunday morning. But I'm going to take Lehigh until it meets up with the start of the route as it goes through like the northeast. So let's get it. Alright, wanted to give you a little update. I'm about 15 miles in. Sun is starting to come up, as you can see. Been using the headlight a little bit. Tail light's been on the whole time. I guess I could turn it off now. Yeah, I've been slightly chilly, but it's perfect because it's only going to get warmer from here. This is the coldest point of the ride. And I had some issues with my Garmin where it froze for a while in northeast Philly, and I thought I was going the right way. Turns out it was just frozen. So I had to do a little bit of re-navigating to the course, And I also had to, there's a cat. I also had to scrap my ride because it was frozen. Probably lost like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 miles. Not a big deal. Kind of had a mini moment where I was like, if I'm gonna be struggling to keep the computer running to, capture the full 200 miles, I was like, this is really gonna suck. And I just had a moment where I'm like, all right, if I don't get the whole ride and I can't prove to a courtroom that I did the ride, using GPX files, I don't care, man. As long as I actually did it, I know I actually did the ride. It's not like anyone's gonna be like, hey, did you really do it though? Like, I don't know. So, no issues with navigation or recording the ride are gonna faze me. You know what I'm saying? Either way, I'm doing this. If I have to use my phone for navigation and my 10-year-old Garmin dies, so be it. Shouldn't be held back by a BlackBerry anyway, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it. Let's keep riding. We're grinding. We are grinding. Oh my God, we're grinding. At this point, I'm over halfway to Trenton, and this was still the early morning, around 6 a.m. or so. The sun was starting to come up, but I remember being very cold. I didn't have gloves. All I had was a windbreaker and a jersey on. And I just remember being very uncomfortably cold. My hands and feet weren't numb or anything, but I was just overall very chilly and underdressed. I was just begging for any piece of sunlight to come through the leaves and warm me up. But I was feeling good because I knew it was just going to warm up from here. Just north of Trenton, this is Scudder Falls Bridge, where I crossed from Pennsylvania into New Jersey, crossing from the Delaware and Lehigh Canal to the Delaware and Raritan Canal. And I'll be riding along that canal for 30 miles until I get to Milford. I'll cross back into Pennsylvania. At this point, I was getting some more sunlight along the trail, and it was warming me up and I was feeling much better. Starting to warm up for the day. Here I am crossing over at Milford. I actually wanted to cross over near Frenchtown initially, but the bridge is currently under construction, so I had to make a detour all the way up to Milford. Welcome to the DNL Canal. This is an area I'm very familiar with. I rode here dozens of times, so it felt good to be somewhere very familiar. Here I am arriving in Easton, and I could see across the river here, there is a bike race going on. Now on our way to Bethlehem, this is along the Lehigh River. And here we are, it's about noon. We got 100 miles under our belt, about halfway through the ride. Coming into Allentown here, I didn't realize it at the time, but these parks here would be the last familiar place for a very long time. The hardest part of the journey was up ahead, right here in the middle of nowhere between Allentown and Reading. I had no idea where I was. I didn't even check my computer or my map to see where I was, and it just kind of felt like a fever dream. Here we are arriving in Reading, and pretty soon I'm gonna find myself on the SRT, which feels familiar, but I'm also very far from home. Something funny happened here, and I think it was sort of a blessing in disguise. So I looked at the map and I planned to stop in Royersford, but I never noticed passing through it. So all of a sudden I was in Phoenixville, a town that I view as pretty close to Philly. So it was a surge of motivation and energy as I realized I was much closer to home than I thought I was. At this point, the hardest parts of the ride were behind me. I had that I'm almost home energy, and I started booking it, burning the last of my fuel reserves, just sprinting home. After riding on my least favorite section of towpath on Earth to end this towpath ride, I finally made it through Manayunk, and I'm just grinding away the last 15 miles on MLK. I decided to go home with 10 miles left. I do 10 miles in laps around my neighborhood. Finally get to 200.
Did it! Let's go! 200 fixed. 200 more. More than 200. I can't even talk.
Alright, let me give you the speech, because my favorite part about long distance is making other people do long distance. I love the reciprocating feeling when I get inspired by someone, maybe someone gets inspired by me, their friends get inspired, and before you know it, everyone's doing long distance and having a great time. First of all, you don't need fancy gear. You don't need an expensive bike. You could go buy a $250 fixed gear and do this ride in a year from nothing if you practiced. You know how to fuel and eat properly. If you know how to pace yourself, plan a nice route, and just take your time. Don't push yourself. You could do this too. It's not that difficult. It's the greatest way to see the world around you and to get to know your area. People want to travel to Europe for a week and spend $10,000 to see the world when they haven't even seen the 60-mile radius where they grew up. Go explore and see things. Go see the Amish play baseball in a field with a pile of bikes. Go see some terrible looking houses near Bethlehem. Go see some beautiful mansions on the Delaware. Like, you're not going to see this stuff if you're not on a bike. Go get on a bike.